Ibrahim Ramazani. I am 21 years old and I'm originally from Burundi.
So I was born in Burundi, but then I lived in Congo for a little bit. And then my family and I moved from Congo all the way to Malawi. So I spent a lot of time in Congo, and I also spent a lot of time in Malawi as a refugee, but I was fully born in Burundi. Yeah, so my family is actually very mixed because when a lot of war was happening in the east of Africa, people moved around a lot. For example, Congo, there was a lot of fighting going on, so my family moved to Burundi. And then they'll stay in Burundi. But when things are not stable in Burundi, then they'll move back to Congo. It was mostly between Burundi and Congo. At the beginning, it was very difficult. Even at a young age, I could really feel it because it was just my mom at that time and all of us. And you saw it was a huge family. It's all 7 of us. Just my mom and 7 of us. And she kind of had to figure out a way to raise all of us because we didn't really know how long we were going to be in Malawi for. So she kind of had to prepare to be the main provider for all of us for as long as she can. Yeah, so the main reason why we moved from Burundi and Congo to go to Malawi to become refugees is because we knew if Malawi did not work out, we could not go back because there was just too much at risk. Too much things were going on for us to survive. So Malawi was the last resort to be there. And after we went through the process of becoming refugees, signing the papers, we knew that the only way to get out of it was to come here because we didn't have anywhere to go back to as a family. So coming here was just kind of like we got saved basically because we had no other options. Oh, man. I'm gonna be honest, I wanted to go back to Africa the same day because of how different everything was. It's almost like walking into a new planet. I couldn't speak the language. Weather was different. No family. Even though things were difficult in Africa, it's good to have family there in case things were difficult. But now here we don't speak the language. And now we have, everything was new to us. So most of the time we're just waiting in the house, looking at each other like, what are we going to do here? Because just my mom and all 7 of us. And I was 13 and the second was 14 and we are 1 year apart. So we are all still very young. And I remember that feeling. I'm like, wow, this is what I was praying for. But what do I do now? And because I always have this mindset, I'm like thinking of my mom's situation. She speaks no English. We all don't speak English. What is she going to do now? What is she going to do by herself with all these 7 kids who are under 14? We are all 13 and under, so it was very difficult at first.
My name is Hay Soe. Me and my family are originally from Burma. Life was pretty hard there. Ever since the end of World War II, there's been an ethnic cleansing. So the Karen people have been running for their lives for over 70 years now, over 7 decades. And my parents' villages were burned to the ground and they had to flee for their lives in the jungle. So life was pretty tough even before they came and burned down the village. So once they burned down the village, it was pretty much impossible to live. So it was just survival from then. Then in the refugee camp where I was born, like as a kid, I didn't think anything about life. My heart wasn't even ripe enough to, know those stuff. But in hindsight, in the refugee camp, even though it was a lot better than the conditions in Burma, it was still adverse. We had rations of food that was sometimes hardly enough, and we have to do our part to get out of the camp, to sneak out because we weren't allowed to sneak out of the camp, hunt for food, lizards, birds, bunnies, squirrels, anything we could eat. And yeah, so also the water shortages, especially in the dry season, it was pretty hard. I know my parents, they had to go through life where they had to drink water from the footprints of water buffaloes. So, everything we have here in America, I felt like we take for granted because, we have water anytime we want it. We have food every time we want it, sufficiently. So much we take for granted here. There wasn't much hope to have in the refugee camp. There were no opportunities for growth. There is no education, no work, and so you're just basically existing in there for survival. And I know that's pretty hard because I feel like not just for my family and the current people, but for everyone is to have the personal freedom to make our own choices, you know. And in the refugee camp, the like people cannot make any decision for themselves. Like they don't have the freedom to help themselves, and I think that is why so many people are depressed and commit suicide in the refugee camp. They don't have the power to even help themselves, so it's heartbreaking when they can't take care of their kids, you know. So the process my family had to go through before we could come to the United States took like over a year. So when we first got here, we were kind of a little bit disappointed because, you know, we were imagining heaven, but once we got here, it's still earth, you know. It was really hard the first year. I got bullied at school. My older siblings got bullied at their school. So we just didn't know if this was going to be the place for us because we escaped hardships of life, and my parents escaped the military junta for a better life. But here it's still really hard to make it, you know. But after the first year, we were able to, you know, get on our feet a little bit, learn the language, get accustomed, and things gradually got better for us. Even though we had our hardships, like there were also some good things that came our way, you know. Like we had food stamps, so when we went into the grocery store, we've never seen that much food in our life before. So that part was heaven, and we were able to get a lot of food. And yeah, our goal was to get really fat because we've always been super skinny, and this is the biggest I've ever been. So
So when I got here, I thought I wanted to be serious in school. That's all the goal that I had because I knew at one point I wanted to go back to my continent. So in school, I took it very serious. But when I showed up there, everything was taught in English. So most days I remember just sitting in the back of class, looking at a paper, teacher would give us an assignment, looking at it, and just, I would cry, especially my math class. I would cry because I just don't know what I needed to do. And if I asked for help on a teacher, the teacher only spoke English. And over time, I started to understand things. Teachers were more willing to help because I noticed I was very driven. There's no way around it. I wanted to get things done. And over time, things just got better because I was getting the language down. And now I had teachers who are more willing to help me out because they noticed that I really wanted to get things done. So, yeah.
you know, if I had someone who could really hold my hand and walk me through the storm, then that would have made my journey a lot more easier. And I don't regret anything about my personal journey, but I just feel as though it would be a lot of help if I had someone like that. Well, I first heard about Youthlinc when I was going to Suriname to get help. There were tutors there that were from Youthlinc. They really helped me and they really believed in me. And that feeling is what I remember them for. And they were from Youthlinc. And then once I got to college, I had friends who were recipient of like the Real Life Scholarship Award and how they were involved with Youthlinc also. So seeing their story, I was like, oh yeah, Youthlinc. They made me feel special when I was needing help. They gave me confidence that I can do good in school. So I started researching, and then around that time, the application for the Real Life intern was open. So I applied right on the spot because after doing the research with Youthlinc, I find their mission to really align with my own values. Like, I have a passion for helping other people, so I signed on right away. And with Youthlinc, I have the opportunity to be that someone for other refugee kids or kids who are low-income students who are at-risk population, and it means so much to me because I feel like I can give them confidence, like I was given confidence by my tutors and my teachers. And if I can give them confidence, then they can believe in themselves. if they can believe in themselves, then they can do anything they want with their life. And I hope they do something great. My community is Korean. What I engage in most is with and around Korean people. And through Youthlinc, I can expand that. I meet people from all over the world. I meet new cultures. And like, I live in America, but I feel like I've had the most interaction with Americans through Youthlinc. And yeah, for me, Youthlinc is like that oak tree in To Kill a Mockingbird. It's like my portal to the outside world, you know. Just from my perspective, service changes both people, like the helper and the person getting help. And like it changes you in an amazing way. I can't even think of any word that can describe how transformative my life has been ever since I've been with Youthlinc. Like what Youthlinc does actually touches people's hearts. Part of my philosophy is helping other people, and I get to do that with Youthlinc.
Youthlinc played a huge role in my life, and that is why I stuck around. And one thing is, when I joined Youthlinc, I was in a phase where, this was 2018, a phase where I was so focused on school that I disregarded a lot of things in my life. So I was focusing more on just school, where I disregarded like being social, and a lot of things in my life were just kind of like second thought. School and give my time where I needed to and play soccer, and that was about it. And when I came to Youthlinc, it was just more than just serving. It was more like developing me as a person as well. I was getting out of my comfort zone. For example, the trip in Fiji. That was probably the first time since I got in America where I had so many people, young people around my age, in one place, and I was kind of forced to socialize and talk to them. And that really pushed me out of my comfort zone. By the time I got back from the trip, I noticed that I was learning a lot more doing these trips and doing these service hours than I ever did in the years that I've been in America. And I'm like, this is definitely where I want to be. This is what I want to do, where I'm helping people, and I'm also developing as a person. And that's why I stuck around. And it seems like every year I just continue to learn new things. Now this year I went as an ATL, and now I'm back here, and now I just look back at all the things I learned and the kind of person I am today. No longer the shy kid. Now I can lead, feel comfortable leading other students, and Youthlinc has really made me a very different man than what I could have been if I just stayed focusing on those little things. Now I'm a broader person. I have more stories to tell. I've learned a lot. I can lead comfortably, and that is why I continue with Youthlinc.